it was 300 years ago. Thomas Jefferson said, if we allow a central bank to own or control the money supply, first by inflation and then by deflation, we will end up renting the land that our forefathers conquered. Now, you could argue that we've already seen the inflation part, right? More money created in the last 4 years than in the history of the country, blow up asset prices to sky-high levels where that home I bought in Florida 3 years ago has doubled, or has it? Did it really? And it's really great to own a $500,000 mortgage at 4% until you lose your job because the economy has slowed down so much by rising rates.
Over the past 2 to 3 years, economists, financial and macro analysts, and prominent investors across all sectors and industries have been emphasizing the importance of immediately getting your wealth out of the financial system. The reason for the incessant warnings and dire predictions is not far-fetched. These expert business executives and brilliant investors, who are seldom in agreement, all believe the United States, as well as the bulk of the rest of the global economy, is heading for a severe economic downturn that will easily surpass the 2008 Great Financial Crisis and rival the 1930s Great Depression in intensity. Many of the people making these calls point to the insane money printing of the past 3 years and other ridiculous, often synchronized policies that have been issued by global central banks since the Great Financial Crisis. According to Andy Schectman, the president of Miles Franklin Precious Metals Investments, a Minnesota-based bullion dealer, people who believe the United States will survive whatever is coming without as much as a scratch will be in for a very rude awakening. Andy theorizes that you don't weaponize the world reserve currency, bestowing the right of usage on only those who stay in your good graces, antagonize the country that single-handedly made the petrodollar system possible, while destroying your economy with ridiculous policies and executive orders without experiencing at least a moderate economic downturn. But there would be nothing moderate about what's coming, according to Andy's estimates. The Miles Franklin president is not only predicting an extended and severe period of economic decline in the United States, he is predicting the complete collapse of the entire global monetary system. According to the prominent bullion dealer, most of the world's governments, especially the US government, are very aware of the impending collapse because they carefully orchestrated it so we can have a sort of global financial reset that ends with you having no control over your resources and essentially owing nothing and renting everything, probably even the clothes on your back. Andy recently gave a mind-boggling and informative presentation at the 2023 Stock Pulse Silver Symposium, where he discussed the many external and internal factors pointing at a complete global reset that, if care is not taken, could see the United States lose its status as the world's largest economy and the dollar its reserve currency status. As we bring you clips from Andy's presentation, please take a little time to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos. Thanks and enjoy.
How many of you know how big a trillion is? I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of millionaires in here, and you've all probably made $1 million over your career, but let's say how big a trillion is. 1 trillion seconds ago, 31,688 years ago. So, a trillion seconds ago, Neanderthals were stalking the plains of Europe. We have $5 trillion in assets, folks. Do you know what the biggest assets, and if you know it, don't answer, because let's let the other people puke for themselves. What is the biggest asset of the United States? The biggest asset of this country, so help me God, Google it, is student debt. $1.6 trillion, over 40% of the assets of the United States is student frickin' debt. They consider that an asset. The government, and that's why when Biden says, oh no, forgive student debt, yeah, he's talking about peanuts, a little tiny bit of it. $1.6 trillion, and they passed a law several years ago, even if you file for bankruptcy, too bad, you can't get out of it. It's an asset to the government, the biggest asset we own. You know, a lot of talk about this $32 trillion debt. Well, how about Medicare and Social Security? And this chart is a little outdated. It's actually higher than that now, but the point of it is, we are 125% debt to GDP. We are insolvent. We are a banana republic. I got a good idea. Let's give $150 billion to the Ukraine. That's a great idea. Do you see what's happening to Philadelphia, to San Francisco, to New York, to all these cities that are becoming God knows what? But let's give it to another country because we don't have it anyway. We're going to borrow money with no oversight and give it to the Ukraine. Let's not help San Francisco. Yeah, some people, well, they did it themselves, these sanctuary cities. That's before we were united, right? We're not united anymore, right? They're on their own, fuck them. Well, you know what, it's so stupid. How about shore up our own country, bring home the troops, close the military bases, defend our border for God's sakes, we're being overrun. Remember, the petrodollar, check. Faith, check. Credit. Are we really the strongest country in the world when we're 150 trillion in the hole? Trillion seconds ago was 31,688 years ago, and the biggest asset is student debt. Reading the wrong shit. That's my point. People don't get it, and this is what gets me so fired up and so why I can do this every morning.
During his speech, Andy explained that the dollar's petrodollar status has been held up by three crucial elements. 1, the full faith in the United States economy, government, and systems. 2, the strength of the currency and economy, which is why many are still doubtful that a collapse is imminent. 3, the backing by the Saudis, who in exchange for protection signed a deal to only price oil in US dollars. Now, every one of those factors has been knocked to the ground, one after the other. Saudi has signed a similar protection deal with Russia and publicly announced it is willing to accept other currencies for its oil. In addition, the weaponization of the dollar has also become a rallying call for the rest of the world against the United States. Meanwhile, a key economic advisor to the Biden administration is calling for the dollar to lose its world reserve status, while another wants to get rid of banks and usher in the era of central bank digital currencies. According to Andy Schectman, all of these are signs of an impending collapse, a reset that will wipe out everything in its path. Here is how he believes everything will play out.
What does the reset look like? I'll tell you what it looks like to me. We have a problem in this country. We think in terms of minutes. Not fast enough. You know, when you print all this money and step on interest rates, you create a distortion in asset prices, and it happened very quickly. Well, people think too quickly. The Chinese, well, they don't. They think in terms of decades. This BRICS deal has been going on for 17 years. They are slowly and methodically draining the world's supply of commodities. They are slowly building relationships. They just brokered peace deals between Iran and Saudi Arabia, countries that have hated each other, Iran and Iraq, countries that have hated each other, a railway between the first two countries, embassies being built in Saudi and Iran. They are doing things mutually cooperative. They are building railways, maritime channels. They're building oil refineries, gold and silver mines. They are allowing these countries to industrialize themselves with mutual cooperation. Saudi Arabia and the rest of the OPEC countries on the Belt Road stand arm in arm on a Sunday night when you're all sleeping soundly. And you wake up Monday morning to find chaos as they say, hey, listen, you guys signed an executive order to go green. We appreciate that. We appreciate all you've done for us over the last 50 years. But we, along with the rest of our OPEC brothers and sisters, the Belt Road Initiative, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the Eurasian Economic Union, and the BRICS, well, we represent 90% of the world. And guess what? We've decided to not go green. So we're going to stop taking oil for dollars effective immediately. What do you think happens? Every single country on the planet who has had to stockpile dollars for the last 50 years no longer has any need to own them. Bang, they sell them. What happens to inflation? What happens to interest rates? As inflation tsunami hits our shores and interest rates go to the moon to compensate for the inflation. What is inversely correlated to a spike in interest rates? Well, how about everything? Stocks, bonds, real estate, the dollar simultaneously all plunge. Klaus Schwab said, what? You'll own nothing and you'll be happy? It'll be the great reset. I thought he was an idiot when he said it. It ain't so stupid anymore. Because if we lose the petro status, why would we sign an executive order to do this? Why would we push Saudi Arabia away? Why create such divisiveness? Why blow up the banks? Do you see how close we are to this happening? We're so damn close to it, and not one person out in that casino floor has any clue what's coming. They're in the batter's box blindfolded. It's coming, you guys. I wish I had a better message to send. And I guess either you accept it or you get run over by it. And if you accept it, you do all you can to prepare for it.
During his address, Andy explains the concept of logarithmic decay, a gradual collapse that begins little by little, so little that it is completely imperceptible to the undiscerning and unobservant. Then it becomes more pronounced, and everyone realizes something is happening, but they still cannot detect the magnitude at which it's going to happen. Then, one day, without any warning at all, everything collapses and everyone gets wiped out. This is what Andy believes is happening with the global financial system at the moment. It is definitely no coincidence that central banks, the custodians of this system, are seeking protection in gold and silver, buying at the highest levels they've done in more than half a century. Do you agree we are heading for a collapse, starting with the global banking system? What role do you think gold and silver will play in the coming collapse? Please drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Also, ensure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.